Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrew Perry, and today I would like to give you a short psychology presentation on the 2002 film featuring Robin Williams entitled 1 Hour Photo. First, I would like to introduce you to some of the main characters of 1 Hour Photo: William Yorkin, Mrs. Yorkin, Jake Yorkin, and Cy Parrish. William Yorkin is a successful business owner, husband, and father. He is oftentimes away from home, so he is emotionally detached from his son and from his wife. Mrs. Yorkin is a stay-at-home mom to Jake Yorkin, who is 9 years old, and she is also the main individual who deals with Cy Parrish, which is our main character of 1 Hour Photo, and the individual that I'll be focusing on for this presentation. Now, a little bit of background information on Cy Parrish. He has been in Minilab for 20 years, which is basically photo processing. He has worked in a Minilab for the last 12 years at the same location, at the Save Mart, which is basically the equivalent of our Walmart. Since he has been processing the Yorkin family photos for roughly 10 years or so, which we come to find out later that he has actually been stalking them for the last 10 years or so as well, since they began coming to his photo lab. Now, it is very obvious from the very beginning of the movie that Cy is not exactly what you would call in his right state of mind. He has some very odd behaviors. You later find out that he is very lonely. He has no friends, no family, no one like that. Now, this is not a movie review by any means, so next I'll be talking about a few psychology states that may relate to our friend Cy. Now first, I would like to discuss dementia praecox, or as you may better know it, schizophrenia. Dementia praecox originally comes from the Latin meaning out of one's mind before one's time. It was later renamed schizophrenia by a Swiss psychiatrist, schizo meaning division and phren meaning the brain. So it literally means split-minded. Now, some of the symptoms of schizophrenia include delusions, hallucinations, flat affect, and catatonia. Now, delusions are basically, it's a disorder in thinking. It's very common within schizophrenics, but it is not grounds for diagnosis of a schizophrenic. Now, what is a delusion? A delusion is basically a false sense of belief about the world. It doesn't matter what you try to prove to someone who is delusional, it is not going to change their beliefs. Hallucinations, on the other hand, are indeed a key diagnosis of schizophrenia. Hallucinations typically only occur in individuals with the schizophrenia disorder. Hallucinations are basically hearing voices that aren't there. Flat affect is emotional disturbance. Basically feeling little to no emotion, or it could be feeling excessive or inappropriate emotions. An example of this may be laughing instead of crying at a funeral. Catatonia is disorganized behaviors or erratic behaviors. This may include excessive movements, or it could include sitting there for hours on end, still doing nothing. Causes of schizophrenia include genetic and environmental factors, and more than likely is a combination of the two. It also relates to the prefrontal cortex, which is the area in the brain that regards information and organization. The next topic I would like to cover are personality disorders. These disorders do not affect simply one aspect of an individual's life, but rather every aspect of an individual's life. Now, today I'm going to be focusing on two forms of personality disorders: antisocial personality disorder and borderline personality disorder. The reason I'm focusing on both of these is because they're both covered in the textbook. However, both of these do not relate to Cy's condition. Antisocial personality disorder, meaning literally against society. Now, individual disorder typically will break the law, lie, cheat. They'll use people without caring about what happens to the individual. They may be irritable or aggressive, very impulsive and uncommitted, selfish, self-centered, and manipulative. Now, although yes, Cy does break the law within the course of the film, and he is also manipulative in one particular scene in the film, I would not consider him to be uncommitted or impulsive. so I would not consider him to have antisocial personality disorder. The next disorder I would like to discuss with you today is borderline personality disorder. Individuals suffering from borderline personality disorder may oftentimes find themselves in relationships with others that are often intense and unstable. They may have an impulsive and unstable sense of self, and may be fearful of abandonment. They may go through periods of depression. There is often also a pattern of self-destructiveness, chronic loneliness, and disruptive anger, all of which we see in Cy Parrish. Now, the causes of these various personality disorders may be due to any one of the following, if not more, including learned behaviors, genetic factors, or disturbances in family relationships, such as child abuse, neglect, overly strict parenting, or protective parenting, or parental rejection. So, in conclusion, I would say Cy has a mix of mild schizophrenia and borderline personality disorder. And why, you might ask? Well, as we discussed earlier, discussing schizophrenia, delusions, hallucinations, and erratic behaviors are all prevalent symptoms of schizophrenia. All three of these are symptoms that Cy at one point or another during the course of the film suffers from. Also, later in the film, we come to find out that Cy was actually sexually abused as a child. More than likely it was by a father, maybe a close relative. So with that, I would go out to say that he most likely has some form of borderline personality disorder as well. I say that because he has the intense relationship feelings he has towards the Yorkin family, and also his chronic sense of loneliness. And that pretty well wraps up what I have for this presentation, so I hope you enjoyed.